Hey there. Today we're going to learn how to multiply decimals. And multiplying decimals is very similar to multiplying whole numbers in terms of the way that we solve the problem. So let's take a look at our first example. We have 6 and 5/10 times 3 and 4/10. And I'm going to set this up where I put one on top of each other. So 6 and 5/10 times 3 and 4/10. And when I approach this problem, I see that I have 2 decimal points in my problem, but I'm going to pretend as though those decimal points aren't really there. I'm going to solve the problem as if I was really looking at 65 times 34. And I can do that using the standard algorithm. So 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 6 is 24, plus 2 is 26. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 6 is 18, plus 1 is 19. And then I'll want to add these two totals together, giving me 0, 11, 1, 2, and 9 is 12, and 1 and 1 is 2. So I come up with an answer that looks like 2,210. And that's not the actual answer that I want to put down because that's the answer to 65 times 34. But I really multiplied 6 and 5/10 times 3 and 4/10. So what I need to now do is insert my decimal point into my answer. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to count how many decimal places I have in my problem. So in this number, I have 1 decimal space, and in this number, I have 1 decimal space. So I have a total of 2 decimal spaces in my problem. So when I come down to my answer here, I'm going to start at the end, and I'm going to move my decimal point 2 places to the left, and it would drop right in between the 2 and the 1. So my actual answer would be 22 and 1/10. You could say it would be 22 and 10 hundredths, but you don't need to include that 0 at the end of a decimal. So the best answer that I would have would be 22 and 1/10. Let's take a look at another example. Let's say I have 3 and 67 hundredths times 5 and 4 hundredths. And again, I'm going to want to set my problem up so that one number is on top of the other. And typically, I'm going to want to put the number that has more digits on the top so that I have less numbers that I need to multiply by on the bottom. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put 3 and 67 hundredths times 5 and 4/10. And you'll notice I didn't line my decimal points up like we did when we had to add and subtract decimals. It doesn't actually matter that they are lined up because, again, we're going to ignore them and pretend like they're not even there. So if I were to just kind of cover those up, it kind of looks like 367 times 54. And I'm going to multiply it accordingly. So 7 times 4 is 28. 4 times 6 is 24. Plus 2 is 26. 4 times 3 is 12. Plus 2 is 14. Bring your 0 down. 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 6 is 30. Plus 3 is 33. And 5 times 3 is 15. Plus 3 is 18. And again, I'm going to want to add these totals. So 8 plus 0, 6 plus 5 is 11, 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 3 is 8, 1 plus 8 is 9, and 1 plus 0 is 1. And again, my answer isn't 19,818 because I still have decimal points that I need to account for. So I'm going to count my decimal points in this first number. I have 2 decimal points, or 2 decimal places, excuse me, and on the bottom number I have 1 decimal place. So I have a total of 3 decimal places that I need to move down here. And again, starting behind my ones place, I move to the left 1, 2, 3 times. And my new answer would be 19 and 818 thousandths. Let's try one more example. This example will multiply a decimal by a whole number. So let's say I have 12 times 4 and 8 tenths. Again, I'm going to set my problem up. It doesn't matter which side you put them on when there's the same amount of digits, but I'm going to set it up like this. So 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Bring your 0 down. 4 times 2 is 8, and 4 times 1 is 4. And again, I'm going to add my numbers here. 6 and 0 is 6. 9 plus 8 is 17, and 1 plus 4 is 5. And again, my answer is not 576. I need to go back and count my decimal places. I have no decimal places in my first number, but I have 1 decimal place in my second number. So I need to move my decimal 1 place to the left. So my answer would be 57 and 6 tenths.